Hi everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Impact Room with myself, Perry Fletcher from Jet2, specialist in planning, analytics, and insight. And today I'm joined with Louise Smith, who is presently working for Jet2 Holidays as the general manager for contact centre planning and MI. So Louise, how are you today? How are you finding it?
I'm feeling good today. The sun is shining, so it always makes you feel better, doesn't it?
It does indeed. It does indeed. So thanks very much for joining us today, and obviously and sharing some insight into yourself and your journey so far. So obviously, Louise, working for a travel company like you do, it'd be great to find out what your favourite travel destination is and why.
Yeah, well, I shouldn't say this. I should say a Jet2 destination, but unfortunately, we don't go long haul yet. Yes, I keep slipping it into conversation. But my favourite holiday destination. I love cruising around the Caribbean. I just absolutely love it. I think it's. I love to go the places that would be like otherwise inaccessible or quite difficult to get to, or places where you wouldn't necessarily want to go for a week or two, and they're quite small, so a day is enough there. I like the laid back atmosphere over there, the scenery, obviously the beautiful beaches, and one of the main things, of course, is the cocktails, the very strong cocktails.
That's it. No, I'm exactly the same. I love cruises. I've done a couple myself. The wife never done one. I keep telling her we need to do one because it is so true. There is a lot of places out there that you only need a few hours at. Like south of France is a great example. There's a few nice cities there that you probably do only need 6-7 hours at to get the majority of it in. And you do get to see so many more places than you normally would. I'm with you on cruises, so yeah, maybe that's a future adventure for Jet2 Holidays as well.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. It would be really good.
Great stuff. And obviously you said this is all about finding about you. So it'd be good if you could do us a quick elevator pitch, really, and just kind of describe yourself in a sentence or two.
Yeah, I'd say I'm quite a motivated person. So I've got a can-do attitude. I think that with enough time and dedication, anyone can do anything that they put their mind to. That doesn't mean that I do everything, because I'm not dedicated to everything. So things like exercise and that, I'm really not dedicated to. But there are people out there that are. I'm really methodical in my approach to things, which massively helps me work-wise. I'm not necessarily sure it goes down so well at home when I'm organised and want everything doing and dealt with in a certain way. My family don't always agree that it's a good quality to have. And I'm passionate about doing the right thing. So I don't necessarily go for the easiest option. I go for what I think is right at the time. But I am stubborn, or some would say I am as well. So it often helps when I'm not going for the easy option and I'm going for the right option, having that stubborn streak inside of me as well.
No, great stuff. Yeah, I think it is. I think that, as you say, that methodical way of working works brilliant in planning, and that's what I kind of enjoy work. I'm very similar myself. I mean, a lot of my house has got them electrical smart features in it and stuff, and my vacuum goes off twice a day on the time it should do and everything like that. I've got them vacuums that does twice a day, one at 11 o'clock at night, one after breakfast in the morning. And I think that it is a skill set that makes plan. And I always say that resource planners are brilliant for planning for everyone else, but never themselves. I think that's it, because we so kind of over straight to the point. But I think it's a great point. So what obviously travel has been dramatically affected through COVID-19 and obviously the last 18 months or so. But what do you see as the biggest opportunity for the travel industry at the moment, and also within the planning and MI sector?
Yeah, well, I think this situation, going back 12 months ago, I don't think any of us expected still to be in a similar situation right now. I certainly don't think we expected that we wouldn't be flying anywhere. Kind of over 12 months later. I think at the time we all saw it as being something that was quite short term. So it has been quite a shock that it's gone on for this long. I think the opportunity it gives us right now is it gives us the opportunity for kind of us to really see how loyal our customers are and understand how much they really do value their family time, time on holiday and the holidays abroad. The amount of customers who, when they come back and, they'll get holiday cancelled, but they just rebook because that's what they want. They want that family time away. They've got used to it. It's great for us and great for us to be able to take that forward once we can kind of get back in the air again. I think from a planning point of view, biggest opportunity that any business has got right now, not even just the travel industry, is the opportunity to look at everything in a different way and, do things differently, take a different approach, try new things out. Things like home working, it's something that we've done for a long time at Jet2. It's something that, has always been part of our approach. And even pre-COVID, we already had nearly 50% of our contact centre home working. And our plan was always to move to a more home working environment on a bigger scale, as I say, regardless of COVID. The situation has kind of sped up that process for us and made us do it quicker. But there are other things that we're looking at now doing differently that we may not have considered. The way we're moving into the messaging space, kind of what we can do from an employee wellness point of view. All these different things, you can start to look very, very differently at how you deal with them, and you can question, is it right just because you've always done something a certain way before, or actually now in this new world, is there a better or different way of doing it? And I don't think there's ever been a better time to test some of those things out.
I think, I love the wellbeing point of things. I think, planning over the last 2 or 3 years, wellbeing has been a big part of planning. And sometimes it's not been possible to look after every last individual employee. Or actually, stuff like this does give us, you can look at it and go, well, hang on a minute, why can't we help that one employee that no longer can attend the office, or that one employee whose parent's ill or child's ill that needs a few hours off to do this? We can actually, as a planning team now, can actually bring that well-being in more. It is a great point. I love the well-being point especially. So right, so obviously you've progressed your career up into a general manager position now. I mean, what would you obviously looking at, you've got analysts in your team and stuff, what one piece of advice would you give someone who's kind of wanting to progress their career, whether that's from an analyst or manager level into that kind of general manager position? What one piece of career advice would you give them to progressing?
Yeah, I think that the biggest piece of advice I could give anyone is that you've got to have a lot of self-motivation and drive. I think it doesn't matter whether you're starting out or moving into management. The planning world, it's a fast-paced environment. There's lots of things changing all the time. Technology's evolving, and sometimes there isn't somebody there to teach you how to do something. You've got to put yourself out there and go out and find the answer out yourself, and then you're often the one showing others how to deal with that situation. And it is a numbers game, but it's not always about numbers. So having that drive to put yourself forward into the operation as well, and kind of put yourself out there to understand how the operation works, and kind of overlay the numbers with the operational knowledge you've got, so that you've always got a balanced approach to things. That's going to make you much more successful. And also it all then relays back to putting the customer at the heart of what you do. As well, coming at it from my point of view, I've often dealt with kind of a very male dominated environment, so you've got to put yourself forward in that situation and push yourself hard.
No, great points. I think it's the same with any career, isn't it, really? I suppose I think people have got to realise that, I say, it won't just fall to you. You have to stand out, and you have to be that person that takes it and takes the lead in anything that you do, really, whether it is a single report to building plans for 10,000 people. It's no, great point. And no, great. And what would you say has been your biggest career break? And if there is anyone you want to thank for it, obviously now's a good time to do it.
There is actually. I mean, I started my career in more of an operational role, operational background, but I've always had kind of a passion for numbers and Excel spreadsheets. It's always been kind of my thing. Even in team leader roles, it was what I liked to do. And you know, I still remember it now. I worked at quite a large insurance brokers, but it was quite old school insurance brokers, and we were the only contact centre division within that insurance broker. And you know, I reported into a lady called Suzanne Ware, who was one of the associate directors at the time, and you know, she saw that kind of, you know, raw passion in me, and you know, took me out of my operational role and put me on a project to go and build capacity plans and, you know, build a planning function, because we didn't have that. That's kind of it started from there. I signed myself up to, you know, every forum that there was going, you know, I you know, read every piece of information I could find, you know, so that everything that she asked me to deliver, I could deliver on that and more. As a result of that, you know, it went from a 3-month project into a role, and it was a you know, role that the company, you know, certainly needed. And then from there it grew, and obviously there were staff involved. And you know, from there I've then moved on and worked in kind of different environments. I've gone from insurance, you know, I've worked in the legal sector, I've worked in outsourcing, and that's kind of then given me a really broad range of knowledge. But I must say, travel is the best. I do have to say, it is absolutely the best.
Great. And you know, that's a great point really about kind of just taking that leap, because there's not I mean, you know, there's not many people that leave school or university and go, I want a job in planning. People leave and go, and I want a job in finance planning, but not necessarily resource planning.
I'd never even heard of the role, and you know, until I started doing it, it was something. If somebody had have asked me coming out of school, I wouldn't have even known what it was. And actually, sometimes, you know, my children will say to me now, "What exactly is it you do at work, Bob?" And sometimes when you're explaining it to, you know, somebody who is younger, it is quite hard to explain. Which is, you know, why I go back to you've got to have a lot of self motivation to kind of go out there and learn and teach yourself.
No, that's it. And obviously, you say it is about spotting that skill set early on. You say it is a very specific skill set that you require to be a planner. Say, you know, that you've got to be very into numbers. You've got to have that interest. And I think as a leader, it is your kind of duty and job really to spot someone with that passion in numbers or Excel or whatever, and go, you know what, come and I'll put your arm around you for 6 months. Come and join the team. And say it is something, I suppose, as a leader, you've got to kind of have that kind of third eye really, as such, for detail. No, great point. Okay, fine. And obviously, you know, say you mentioned you moved from operations to planning and stuff, but what inspires you on a day-to-day basis, and why?
I think all I've ever really strived to do, you know, in any work environment I've been in, is kind of the right thing to the best of my ability. It's something that I am passionate about, and that's probably inspired me more than anything. I think now to be in the position that I'm in, where the work that I do and the work that my teams do as well directly impacts the service that we deliver to our customers, and can also positively influence like our level of staff engagement, it does give me a real sense of satisfaction. I think, you know, I've said a number of times, our operation is often the first point of contact for that, you know, a customer will have with us. And in any business, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. So we want to make sure that the customers remember us for the right reasons. So, you know, to be able to have an absolute direct influence on that, it is, you know, it pushes me on massively. And I think also, you know, taking your team on that journey with you and giving them that, you know, self-belief that as a team, this is the impact we have. We may sit in the background and we may not be, you know, front facing to customers, but actually, if we don't get it right to start with, those customers may not even get to speak to us, or our staff engagement may not be right and the experience might not be right. So, you know, we are massively important in this journey.
I think, yeah, I love that point. I think people forget that actually planning has such a big impact on, as you mentioned, the customer experience, but also that employee well-being that we've mentioned already.
Yeah.
You can change someone's life with the impact you can make.
Yeah.
I think people have got to realise, yes, planning has been traditionally known as the support function, and yes, it is a support function and it should sit there. But I mean, obviously we've recently been discussing stuff around like chief planning officers and stuff as this role. I think people have got to realise actually planning can have a huge impact on all areas of the business, not just the customer journey, not just the employee, but everything. It's a real great point, really. I think people don't realise the importance of it sometimes. But no, that's great. It was no, thanks for your time. It was really good to learn about yourself a bit more and to get to know you as yourself, really. But just before we go, I mean, obviously we've spoken numbers of times. You've helped us with the planning reports and planning surveys and stuff we've done and everything. I just wondered if you wouldn't mind sharing a couple of comments on kind of interaction you've had with myself and Douglas Jet2 as a company, really.
Yeah, of course. I mean, as it stands at the moment, I've been in a lucky position where I've only dealt with you on a personal level and not had to deal with you on a professional level, but you never know, it may happen. But from a personal point of view, I've always found you to be really friendly, approachable, really knowledgeable about the sector, which massively helps. I think you've certainly got it right. You know what's going on, what's important, what's not.
No, great stuff. No, perfect. So yeah, no, thank you very much. So to say, thanks for joining us. It was great to get to know you as Louise and to learn a little bit more about your journey, and hopefully we can inspire some more.
Yeah, thanks. Definitely good to speak to you too.
And you. Cheers. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.